Hello, hello, welcome. Come on in, come on in. All right, take a seat by the fire. Now, this is going to be a very random video. I basically just heard some people on TikTok, those clips, talk about their paranormal experiences. And so I just kind of felt like yapping about some of mine. I definitely won't be remembering all of them right now and all that stuff, but I will be probably dividing the video into a few different sections, like a few different stories. And I'm also going to do my best to keep it short and sweet so the video isn't super long. And if this video somehow does get views, feel free to ask me for like a part two because, like I said, well, I have many stories, so I'm not going to tell them all here or even remember them all here. But let's start because it's very fresh, right? Let's start with the most recent paranormal stuff that has happened to me, for example, right? Now, just a minor one. But the most recent one actually happened about an hour ago. So I was sitting downstairs on the couch, and I hear my brother getting up from being asleep, I suppose. And he comes downstairs, and he's like, "Oh, I was hearing, stuff in your room. I thought you were still in your room, but here you are sitting on the couch." Now he wasn't startled. I'm not startled to hear this. It's very common here. I can tell you about a dozen times that I sit here in my room, like right now, and I hear someone in his room over there. And, I haven't heard the stairs, so I know it's not him. And he also doesn't go into his room other than when he's sleeping. He spends, his day downstairs, unlike me. So, yeah, I hear that like almost every day. So this doesn't startle us, especially since we actually not here, but we actually grew up in a haunted house. Um, and some of those, or most of the stories come from there, and you will probably hear some in this video. I hope the audio and everything is fine. I only have one monitor right now, so I can't really see the camera or like the audio levels, so I hope it's fine. But yeah, where was I? So most recent, a bigger one, most recent was January. For those who don't know, I lived in the Philippines for a few years and I then came back here. Um, and my girlfriend visited me in January. So I live near this forest area, and every evening I walk my dog. And there is this small crossroads, I would call it, right? Since the road is basically divided in four there. Um, and often I would hear footsteps there, and not just me, also my dog. My dog would stop and he would stare into like a certain one of the four directions, always the same one, by the way. And, we would hear footsteps. Nothing amazing, at least not to me, right? To people who haven't really experienced paranormal stuff, I can see why these things startle you. But anyways, so nothing special. Then my girlfriend's here in January visiting, and I ask her to walk the dog with me at night. So we walk the dog, and we turn around, we come back home, we cross the crossroads again, and we're talking. But I'm the first one who notices footsteps behind us. This isn't uncommon to me, it's nothing special to me, and I don't want to scare her, so I'm not saying anything. A few meters, you know, forward, and she actually stops talking, and she hears it too, and she turns around and she starts freaking out. She grabs my arm, we start walking faster. And she's freaking out and she's not telling me why she's freaking out. Um, and the footsteps, because what I have learned from entities is that the more you recognize their existence, um, the the more happy it makes them. It depends on the entity and what exactly it wants, but the more active it makes them, right? And so I keep telling her like, just to calm down because she's giving this thing more power, right? She's giving it more attention. And you could tell because the footsteps had never lasted this long for me and never been this loud. I swear it was like someone in boots was like trampling right on my heels. That's what it sounded like. And I would look, like behind me at one point as well because it was so loud. And because you can feel like someone's like behind you. And there wasn't. But we basically, walk as fast as we can to the end of this road, almost back at the house. And then she tells me, because I'm like, calm down, it's the footsteps, I know this and that. I didn't say anything because I didn't want you to be scared. And then she tells me, no, when I turned around, I saw both of our shadows, but I saw a third shadow next to ours of like a man wearing a hat. So that was very scary and recent. Well, to her it was very scary. To me it was, oh, this is interesting because I always hear the footsteps, never like this, but I've never noticed like an additional shadow. So that's actually interesting. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was cool. She was so scared that she wouldn't walk the dog the day after or the night after with me. But yeah. Let's see what else. More recent. When I think about more recent, I also think about I go on walks in the forest area, almost every single day, and there is one trail, one part there where you can feel someone watching you, like behind you. Not every day, definitely not, but some days. And one time, I mean, I usually look back because, it's just like instinct. But one time I looked back and I saw like a shadow, a black someone standing in the far distance near a tree. But that was it, and that was the only time when I looked back that I actually saw something out of place. Um, so that's also like a more recent one, I guess, but it's nothing to worry about. I've only been walking there at night, like when it's just dark, dark. I think in the past 6 months, like twice, 3 times maybe. And it just naturally feels more eerie, but I haven't noticed anything in the dark, so I wouldn't say it's a big deal. Hang on. Um, let's see. Let's jump over to the topic of mimics because I was watching this video last night on TikTok about someone having an experience with a mimic. So that just reminded me, I guess, of mine, which aren't, as far as I know and as far as I can remember right now, not like big things really, but more of like, and I've said this in a video before. One night, my brother's room was across the hall from my room. And one night, school night, so we should have been asleep. I could never sleep as a kid, which growing up in a haunted house kind of does to you. But my brother would always sleep. He was also younger, or he is also younger. So he should have been asleep at that time and everything. And so I hear him call me, like whisper call me from across the hallway, calling my name. I thought this was very strange because, like I said, he should have been asleep and everything. But fine. So I open my door and I look across the hallway, and his door is closed. So he's not there. He's not calling me. Probably isn't even awake because I called back because I thought maybe he closed the door already, right? I call back, nothing. Complete silent. So he never called me. That's one mimic experience. Another one is when, and this is when I was little, right? So like I could misremember details about these things. But I could hear my dad, and mind you, after we were put to bed, like in our rooms, our dad has never interacted with us anymore. We weren't even allowed to go to the toilet once we were in bed. We weren't even allowed to go downstairs again, like go to the toilet. So he would never interact with us ever, not to my memory, after sleeping time. And so it was weird because I could hear my dad downstairs in the hallway uh calling my brother. And so I opened my door and my brother was also in the hallway, like also opened his door. And but it was pitch black down the stairs, right? It was just pitch black. There was no light on, except for like in our rooms. There was no light. And my brother looked at me and said, "Should I go?" And I said, "No, just pretend like you're asleep." And I said this mainly because it was just too weird for my dad to call one of us at night. And then also, why would he be standing there downstairs in the hallway in pitch black darkness with like all the lights off downstairs? That doesn't make any sense. So I just said, no, just pretend like you're asleep. And we went back into our room. Um, there's probably more, but one other I can think of right now is it's very creepy when a mimic is mimicking someone that you know, someone's voice, right? But when it's your own voice, that is just spine chilling. So the way I would sleep in my room, or fall asleep at least, because I wouldn't want to sleep, is I would sleep on my stomach and I would put the blankets under my arms to like basically hold them down and also do the same thing with my legs. So like it would be over my head as well and stuff. And I remember one night I'm laying like this, right? I'm trying to, not think about bad stuff. And I hear in my room, like next to my bed, because my bed was in the middle of the room, mind you, which isn't actually a great plan. But anyways, I hear next to my bed myself, my own voice, whispering my name, you know? It was spine chilling. It truly was. It was, yeah, I can't describe it. It's my own voice. That's the weirdest part about it, right? If it's someone else's voice, but yeah, your own voice is something else. Um, okay, let's go into why I always fought against sleeping. Well, one thing is my body was always in a fight or flight like state, right? Because of all the sounds and all the things that I saw as well and things like that. Um, but the biggest reason why I would always fight against sleeping, which is probably why I look like this these days, my sleep as a child was not good. Um, was because of nightmares. I would have, on average, 3 to 5 nightmares every single night. Every single night. Okay? On average, 3 to 5, right? Every single night. And I guess I don't know what normal nightmares are to children, but I think I had very, very disturbing nightmares that children shouldn't be having. Because, in my opinion, they were invoked, most of them, uh, by whatever entity was in the house, or entities, maybe, right? That's just what I think. And I could do a whole separate video on nightmares, by the way, that I've had, if you guys are interested in that. But for this one, I want to focus on one particular one, because I've had many nightmares where it felt real, right? I'm sure you all know about dreams like this, where it just feels a little too real. This one actually, the nightmare I'm about to tell, actually translates into the real world, into real life. Um, so one night, all right, you need to understand first. Uh, we had the way our house was laid out. We had a very small room in the back, like adjacent to the kitchen. I think in English you would call it like a boiler room, and it would also be the room where my dad would step in to smoke, so that the smoke wouldn't be near us in the living room and the kitchen and things like that, right? But we would rarely ever go into that room because, like I said, wasn't exactly a room for us. There wasn't anything there for us or anything. But I had this nightmare one night, and I was downstairs, and this woman was calling me from in this little room. So I went into this room because the woman sounded kind, right? So I see her in the at the far wall of the room. She's sitting on a crutch or something, she's dressed like completely in black. I don't know how to describe it. I might pull up a picture on screen right now if I find one that kind of looks like it. But it's like an older style of dress and like a hat and a I don't know what it's called, like a veil in front of her face. Anyways, yeah, if I find a picture, I'll put it up. That kind of looks like it. But the the thing is, she called me to sit with her, to sit on her lap, and so I did. And the moment I did that, the moment I was in her clutches, she would grab my throat and she was killing me. She was suffocating me. And it just felt a little too real. And I woke up. I jumped awake in the middle of the night. I was crying and I was like feeling my throat because it just felt so real. And a few weeks or a few months, I don't know, it's been so long, right? Uh, Later, I sleep on my stomach, right? My head always to one side. And I wake up in the middle of the night, dark, right? I wake up and I see because you have to think, my blanket is like this hood right now, right? The blanket is like this kind of. I can only see like right here, right in front of me. So I see uh the skirt, the dress, a part of it that woman was wearing in my nightmare next to my bed. Like, like she was standing next to my bed. This was not a dream, this was real life, right? I had just woken up by something in the night. So I pull the cover completely over my head. I'm scared as balls. And I eventually have the courage to pull the blanket off and look. And there's no one there. There's nothing there. There's no one there. So that was very scary in terms of nightmares, and this nightmare translated into real life. So pretty scary. Let's see, what else can I tell in this one? I have no idea how long the video is right now, because like I said, I only have one monitor, so I don't see it. But yeah, let's see, let's do one more. Hmm. Let me think, let me think. Let's do one more, let's give you guys a juicer. Alright, I'll just tell you guys about the I think it was at least that I recognized one of the first paranormal activities that I had to deal with in the house. Um, Shadows. Shadow monster, I would refer to at the time. Basically, I would have, and I would only see this in my room. There's also been stuff that happened, uh, like throughout the house, not just in my room, but I think we all agreed, like my brothers and me, we all agreed that the main stuff was happening in my room. But anyways, so um, the first things that I had to deal with was shadows. I would always see living shadows, moving shadows, even when there was no reason for there to be a shadow, right? This would always be in my room. Pretty sure I've never seen, like in other parts of the house, never seen shadows move. Not that I can think of, but in my room all the time. And there was this one, I don't know if it's like a different shadow or if it's all one creature doing this. I don't really know. But there was this one shadow that would always grow in the corner of my room. What I mean by grow is I would notice the shadow as a little kid. I would notice the shadow, and as soon as I noticed the shadow, as long as I kept looking at it, it would grow in the corner of my room, all the way reaching over the roof in the like the shape of a werewolf, which is something werewolves I was super scared of when I was young. Like, seeing them in movies and everything like that. I thought they were cool, don't get me wrong, but I was super scared of them, right? Like the same level of scared that I was of spiders. I'm still very scared of spiders. Don't get me wrong. But it's like those were the two things I feared as a kid. Spiders and werewolves, okay? So this thing would grow, basically in the shape of a werewolf, over the ceiling as long as I looked at it. I only tested this once to see like what it would do. I kept looking at it, and like it would reach over the ceiling coming towards me. That's when I couldn't do it anymore. The other times I would just let it go to a certain point and then get so scared that I would, cover myself. And then once I look again, it would start growing again from like the floor, basically. It did this for a very long time, and then suddenly it was gone, I guess. Or maybe I didn't fear it anymore eventually, and that's why it stopped. I don't know. But yeah, very, very creepy. Um, and this is also what I meant at the start of the video when I talked about like if you give them attention, uh, you give them a hold over you, which is what they want, right? So that's probably why this shadow appeared to me in the form of a werewolf, because at the time, nothing scared me more than werewolves and spiders. So that's probably why. Um, I also have spider stories, by the way, that I thought were, well, one of them clearly was paranormal. The other one I think is paranormal. I'm not sure. But I do have spider stories as well. I think this video is long enough though, so if you want to hear the spider stories and other stories, because I can think of plenty more, let me know and I'll make a part two of this. This was super random. I don't even know if anyone's gonna watch this, but yeah, if you do and you want to see a part two, just let me know and I'll make one. But I hope you have fun here chilling in the cave with me. And yeah, I guess I will see you in the next video. Peace.